dignified, and that this is what separates high from low. Yet are we not all born free? Then why bow? That is, if all living things are equal. I know one thing. None shall command me. Karma will not bind me. No gods nor Buddha will stand in my way. For reincarnation can find no higher form than a golden king. It would be wise to flee. You shall all fall! A pitiful display. Time to retreat, fools.
We'll be covering Sun Wukong, the Golden Monkey King. And in almost every gacha game that deals with mythical creatures or characters, there's always going to be Wukong somewhere. So this was our time to eventually get Sun Wukong. So let's take a look at this Shadow Arc, Verdian UR hero, and his skills. Starting with his ultimate, Abyss of Shadows. Before we get to the actual ultimate, it says that whenever Wukong does an auto attack, he creates a clone that does a follow-up attack. So this is great for his DPS. Now, also makes sense from a lore standpoint, since Wukong has been known to be able to create clones of himself. Anyways, back to the ultimate. The ultimate itself will land a big AoE nuke and recover a portion of Wukong's lost health. And it also sets up an Abyss Circle. Within the Abyss Circle, enemy units that are there will be automatically attacked by a Wukong clone every second. Now, all these Wukong clones, plus his own auto attack clone, every time they attack, it recovers a portion of Wukong's lost health. So even though he's a fighter, his ultimate and its duration will make him a pseudo tank. It does make him suitable to be in the front line. Let's move on to his regular skills. The first two are active, Extending Cudgel and False Truth. Now with Extending Cudgel, it hits a unit and reduces their defense, and then that same unit will be hit again from the second swing, which also hits the enemy units behind that unit. Level 2, it will remove the shield from that first target. There have been more of these new heroes popping up with shield removing abilities. Wukong, Lao Shen, and Ymir. So we might be seeing more of that in the future, and who knows how that might change the meta for PvP. With False Truth, goes back to what I was saying about Wukong and his ability to create clones. So False Truth creates an actual clone of him, not just a temporary shadow clone, but an actual clone of him behind the target furthest away from him. And any damage that this clone takes contributes towards Indestructible King. Now, we look at that passive skill, Indestructible King, and it increases his crit damage resistance, and he also has a part of his divinity set, the immortality skill called Water Drop, which increases crit damage resistance by 35%. So you put it on him and he has both those effects going on. But whenever he accumulates a certain amount of non-crit hits, he gets more and more bonuses. Damage reduction, attack speed, tenacity, and then last his attack itself. After 21 of them have been accumulated, it seems like Wukong plays more like an extended battle hero, where it's not so much a rush or a burst, try to kill the enemy team as fast as possible. He's meant to last long and take out the team slowly. And this goes back to what I was saying. He's a pseudo tank, so he can last longer than most other heroes, or at least other fighters would. Now let's take a look at his iconic weapon skills. So the first 300 all have to do with a small chance of disarming, silencing, or terrorizing the target for 3 seconds with his attacks from the shadows, the little shadows that pop up behind the enemy unit whenever he auto attacks, or the ones that automatically come up during Abyss of Shadows. Now, for those of you who don't know, disarm means that the enemy unit cannot attack. Silence means they cannot use active skills, and terrorize means they cannot use their ultimate. So those first 300 are pretty good to have. It's a small chance, but still pretty good if it ever pops up. And then 400 and then 500, which improves on that, is improving extending cudgel, and it lasts throughout the whole battle, where every time extending cudgel is used, it improves those shadow clones attack and stacks up to 3 times and has a certain percentage increase each time. So that goes back to what I was saying with Wukong. He's meant for extended battle. He's meant to last. His 600 skill, I don't think it's super awesome. It's an alright skill. The only thing I don't like about it is it's a conditional one where Abyss of Shadows has to be active and he has to be in the Abyss circle. His indestructible king effects will be increased by 50%. So instead of a 35% crit damage resistance, he'll have 52.5, and then so on with the others. 40% reduction turns into 60%, etc. So now let's talk about his iconic weapon. So his Chimera stat is accuracy. That doesn't particularly play into his moveset, but it's there. And when you look at his iconic weapon attribute layout, he has the lowest within the Drago and Genbu HP and defense, average in Chimera and Baihu, the attack, and he extends all the way out to 150 points for the Anka critical stat. Nowhere in his moveset does it really say he capitalizes on critical hits. That's just the way the layout is. Now, as far as his iconic weapon 2, you can choose to capitalize more on his increased attack and critical iconic weapon stat attribute layout. Me, I prefer, and if you're going to do that, you're going to end up picking yellow most likely as the node color. Me, I prefer to play into his durable fighter because I do plan on putting him in the front line. So his durable fighter role would require him to have green colored nodes so that he has more defense. And the way I see it is, the more defense he has, the more hits he can take, so that there's a higher chance that he's taking more and more non-critical hits, which contribute to his indestructible king effects for levels 1 through 4. Now, I haven't completely tried to optimize his iconic weapon 2 node attributes, but some of the ones that I did manage to get were critical damage resistance, which only helps to increase his own ability as well as his divinity water drop skill, and some more defensive stuff because that's the way I was viewing him, more as a durable fighter that can deal more damage throughout the course of an extended battle. But it's up to you. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing. You can make him all attack if you want to. Let's talk Wukong's performance in PvP and PvE. As far as PvP, I do feel bad for his UR faction because his teammate Typhon has very low relevancy in higher level Champions Arena PvP. Like, I might see either of them, at least in my division, which is Division 7, where we have 5 teams. In Division 6 and up, there are 6 teams and more required. So at least with those divisions, you can see both of them, or at least see them in one of the teams. But where I'm at, Wukong and Typhon are seen as less of a priority for UR hero usage compared to some of the more popular ones like Oda Nobunaga, Amaterasu, Nuwa, Prometheus. But that's not to say he's complete garbage at PvP. He can still be used well. I'm just saying that his UR faction, you won't be able to get as much out of the bonus because of Typhon's irrelevancy within higher level PvP. Now, if you were to pair him though, just make sure that you give him support because, as I said, he is specialized, from what I see, for extended battles, so you want support that can help him along the way. So make sure you pair him with a healer at least. Hela, Nephthys, Nagakanya, Idun, whoever you want to choose, but make sure you have them. And if you're gonna put him in the front line, don't put him as the main tank in position 1. He is best suited as a secondary tank in position 2, otherwise just put him in the back line. Now as far as PvE, he's decent. I mean, IGT isn't gonna make a crappy UR hero and release it, because that ruins the whole point of making a UR hero. They're supposed to be better for a reason. Anyways, in PvE, he's decent. His moveset really lends itself, though, to attack multiple targets, and is more for a team-on-team fight. Like, when you have to fight bosses, there are better options. If you want to use him, great. He still does great DPS, but I'm just saying he's better for team-on-team fights. And since we have the Crusade of Edda coming up, his main divinity is Primeval. And Primeval is one of the more favored Elder Tree divinities for Crusade because it also contains Oda Nobunaga, and everyone uses Oda Nobunaga during Crusade. So there's a plus if you're thinking about using Wukong in the Crusade. He looks like he's best suited as a path-making hero since he's able to take on multiple targets at once, and he can probably solo some teams for you. That was my summary on Sun Wukong, the Shadow Arc Birdian UR fighter hero. Very durable guy, meant for longer extended battles and only gets better with time. Unfortunately, with higher level PvP, because it's meant for quick battles and quick finishes, extended battles have less of a priority there. So you won't find him as common as other UR heroes, but that doesn't take away from his abilities. Alright, I'll see you.